Captain's Log, October 6, 2014. Folks, we've got another one, yet another announcement for a superhero TV show, and this one is the most exciting thing to me since the Daredevil on Netflix announcement. It looks like Fox is developing an X-Men live-action series. Wow, how much sense does this make, and how did I not predict that this was probably going to happen? I mean, if you think about it, Marvel doing all of their Netflix shows and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. getting renewed and all of that, Fox just had a really successful X-Men movie with Days of Future Past, and of course they're building their own kind of shared universe with doing the Deadpool spinoff and doing X Factor and probably doing Gambit and all of those things. I suppose you could say that they already sort of had a shared universe since they were doing like Wolverine like spinoff films and stuff like that. But of course they want to foray into TV. I wonder if they didn't, put out Gotham, wanted to kind of test the waters with that and see if they wanted to try more superhero TV, to see if that was successful. Obviously, Gotham's been taking off already, and it seems to be doing reasonably well. So, I should not be surprised by this, but it is really exciting. And if the initial reports are to be believed, what they want to do with it is even more exciting, in my opinion. Now, I'm jumping on this just a couple hours after the rumors started on the internet. And after Comic Book Movie released their article, making it seem like this is a definite thing and a confirmed thing and not just a rumor. Some articles are saying rumor, Comic Book Movie is saying not a rumor. I'm sure by the time this gets posted and by tomorrow we'll know for sure. But anyway, it looks like, according to Comic Book Movie and their update, and it looks like there is some kind of incoming news. So, like I said, there's likely to be more information on this by the time I post this. So if this is already outdated, I apologize. But I just wanted to give you my immediate thoughts on it and inform folks in case they didn't know about it yet. Comicbookmovie.com says that according to a tweet, there's a source. I'll put the link in the description. But according to a reliable source, they want to base this on Peter David's X Factor stuff. Did I say X Factor earlier? I meant the movie was X Force. Peter David, of course, X Factor. I always get these things confused. Anyway, Peter David, of course, has had a couple of long runs on X Factor. He's still doing a run right now on X Factor, and I think that makes perfect sense. For a couple of reasons. First of all, I love Peter David. I think he's a wonderful, wonderful writer. I love him for comic books. I love him for Star Trek. I always thought that he got a really raw end of the deal, that none of his Star Trek books and comics and stuff really influenced the TV shows all that much. I always thought that he should have been a staff writer on something, maybe even a showrunner. I've been wondering forever where Peter David has been in the TV game. How is it that Ben Edlund has had an illustrious TV career? JMS has had an illustrious TV career. Where has Peter David been? How has he not gotten his Babylon 5? I really think that it is high time that Peter David gets to come onto a show as a regular staff writer, or even better, a showrunner. And if this happens, and if they are basing it on X Factor, I hope they just straight up bring in Peter David and ask him to run the whole thing. But anyway, so the talk is it's gonna be Peter David stuff. It's gonna be multiple man. They're gonna use characters that haven't really been used on screen yet. Now, yes, we got multiple man for a couple of minutes in X3, but of course the nice thing is, and I'll talk about this in the whole continuity thing in a second, but the nice thing is, if this is set in the present Fox X-Men continuity, we just had a soft reboot of that, and that means that everything is kind of started over and up for grabs, and you can really do anything you want to. So they can do the Jamie Madrox of that book and do that kind of character development and not have... And even so, was there really all that much with him in X3 anyway? You could still do about anything you wanted to with him. So what comicbookmovie.com is saying is that it's supposed to be like, or at least the current idea, and it sounds like they're much deeper into the development process than I would have figured, it just being announced. Maybe this is a really hush-hush kind of thing, but what they apparently want to do with it is make it like Fringe, but in the X-Men universe, which could be an interesting thing, and kind of investigating crimes having to do with mutants and stuff like that. I would be surprised even if that is what the kind of premise ends up being if it wasn't also very kind of soap opera-y, because that's always been kind of the X-Men thing, right? That it's about these interpersonal relationships, and it's all very complex in all of the interplay between characters and all of this drama and stuff. Personally, I'm excited to not immediately hear it's gonna be a teen angst thing. I'm not saying that can't be done well, and of course, if they wanted to do something like based on Runaways or something, clearly that has been done well in the past, but I'm just excited to hear it might not be that kind of thing again. I feel like I've kind of been inundated with the whole teenage superhero thing. And now that I'm saying that, I mean, have we gotten like a whole ton of it on screen with superhero stuff? I guess Smallville, I guess there's been a couple of things, but I don't know, maybe it's just a personal taste thing. I guess I'm just excited not to immediately hear a bunch of teenage mutants. Anyway, so let's talk about the continuity thing. Is this likely to be, because we don't know yet, is this likely to be set in the current X-Men movie universe, or is it going to be its own thing? I think it would probably be more successful if it was set there, because it's popular again. People are very excited about X-Men right now. Days of Future Past was fantastic, and there's a lot of buzz already for Apocalypse. I think that the smartest thing they could do is find some way to set it in that universe. And I'm saying that for two reasons. First of all, the nice thing is, there are tons and tons of characters to mine, and you don't have to have your regular, like, major A-list X-Men all the time for it to not feel generic. The comics have proven that you can have X-Men teams made up of all kinds of characters nobody's heard of, even comic book fans, not to mention just your standard TV watchers that don't know anything about comic books. All you have to do is create interesting characters with cool powers and put them in fascinating situations, and people will watch and enjoy it. As long as you don't skimp out too much on the superpower stuff, I think people will really enjoy it. We managed that with Heroes. I think Heroes proved that this kind of thing can very much work as long as it doesn't get too incredibly convoluted and start losing an audience. You make it character-driven, you make it fun, you make it really involved, and most importantly, you do that kind of Claremontian thing of long-form storytelling. Please don't start this with, like half a season of sort of one-and-done episodes and then start getting archy and involved. Really start, I think, an X-Men show. This is just what I would want. I really think that you ought to do what Heroes did and start an X-Men show right out the gate with, there's this long story, and we're gonna give you just the first chapter of it in the first episode. X-Men was made for television, and like I said, that's why I'm so excited about this, like I was with Daredevil, because as much as I like the Daredevil movie, and of course the director's cut more than a lot of people do, and I think that Daredevil in a movie can work. 2 hours of Daredevil doesn't make nearly as much sense as 20 hours of Daredevil, because that character always worked best in these really kind of long in these kind of long-form stories, and more of a serialized and, again, kind of a superhero soap opera kind of thing. And X-Men is exactly the same sort of way. I think it makes a lot of sense to set this in the X-Men movie universe, just to continue to flesh that out, play with these characters, and like I said, I don't think that you have to have movie people in it all the time for people to enjoy it and for people to latch onto it and be invested. On the other hand, the question is, when do you set it? And I think that it's going to be really interesting going forward, just with the X-Men franchise at large, to see how they're handling period stuff. Because we know that Apocalypse is set in the 80s. We know that they're continuing to kind of catch up the X-Men in the past to present day. But where's Deadpool going to be set? Where's X-Force? Or I should say, when? When is Deadpool and X-Force going to be set? So what I'm wondering is, if we set this in the same universe, if this might not be a cool way to help flesh out what the present day kind of status quo of mutants is, while Professor X and everybody is still in the 80s doing 80s stuff. And of course, obviously, those characters would also still be around in present day Also, might it be sort of like the original series Star Trek cast making Star Trek 5 and 6 at the same time as we're watching The Next Generation, where these two things are happening at different time periods, but we're just making them at the same time? Might it be something like that? Like I said, I think it might be cool to use this to kind of flesh out some things for present day, and then when we finally catch up those characters to present day, and we start maybe using those actors, but playing, getting out of the 80s and 90s, maybe they'll do a 90s one, I don't know. Once we get those characters out of that, maybe we'll have kind of the sandbox for them to play in, and we'll have already kind of created some things that they can deal with. I just think that this whole thing is really fascinating, the way that it has kind of soft rebooted. But getting to the end of Days of Future Past, I was as interested to see what would happen in present day as I was in the past, and I got the sense that we might not do a lot with that for a while, if ever. But because, you can go back and you can explore Wolverine in the past and what the new Weapon X thing ends up being, or whatever it is happens to him, and you wouldn't have to go back to the present day to explain all of that. But I am really interested to find out what things are like in present day also. So anyway, I mean, obviously, all the mutants there seem to be doing okay, but I wonder what the world at large looks like. We didn't get to pull the curtain back. So anyway, I'm hoping that this is set in the current X-Men movie franchise. Could it still be great? If not, if it was its own standalone thing? Yeah, but I would be a little disappointed with that. I think that would be a little bit underwhelming for me, because I think that X-Men is such a huge, expansive universe. There's a lot of different things you can do with it, and yet that doesn't mean that it couldn't be great. And as I said, the nice thing is television is the perfect medium for live-action X-Men stories, and I think the movies have sometimes struggled to bring that kind of storytelling to a couple of hours. So anyway, this is wonderful news. I'm so excited about it. I hope it really is news and not just a rumor. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think. I'm excited to read them. Who do you want to see in this X-Men show? Do you hope that it's based on the Peter David run, or on Peter David's X Factor, as it looks like that it's likely to be, or would you kind of hope for something else? Something I didn't mention also is that is it not possible that some of the characters, even more A-listy type characters, that they may choose not to use in Apocalypse moving forward, could end up being in this show? Because we still haven't heard anything about Cyclops and characters like that, and I'm really hoping, of course, that Cyclops is the leader of the new team, and it seems like it would be a huge missed opportunity to not do it that way. But could we maybe get Nightcrawler in this show? I mean, I just think there's a lot of different possibilities. So anyway, leave your comments. Looking forward to reading them. I am Captain Logan, and this concludes today's Captain's Log.